enjoyed it.
Oh, Isaac Smith, here you go, mate.
Hey, Rob.
Got more questions for you, yeah.
Another question.
Oh, a couple, actually. No, I asked you about CSG, and we're all over that. So I just want to ask you about the leasing of the poles and wires and the sale that Labor's calling it, and why they're calling it a sale.
Well, because anything that's gone for 99 years, mate, is not a lease. Now, if you talk to anybody, a lease is something that, if you lease a car, you don't make a one upfront payment, and then you don't pay any more payments for history. So if this was a lease, you'd pay out a bit over 99 years. Look at that sign behind you, by the way.
Yeah, I'll stand over here, mate. So, but you're aware, though, that the government's going to retain 51%, so therefore control.
Well, the problem is, though, that they're going to sell all of Transgrid. Now, Transgrid controls all the power substations and power lines in urban areas, but they also control, which we didn't find out till just this last week, substations in rural areas. So that substation that I was at Tuesday out at McKees Hill, that's a Transgrid substation, and that is being sold.
But they're only leasing the poles and wires. They're not talking about selling any substations.
No, it's power infrastructure. Don't get caught up on the poles and wires as words.
Yeah,
it's
but didn't the
electricity infrastructure.
Didn't the infrastructure get sold off by the Keneally government when she put in her power plan?
Some infrastructure did, yeah, unfortunately, and that's a shame. But that government got kicked out, which was a good thing.
But that was the Labor government, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
So they sold off all the assets except for the poles and wires, which
the retail
that was in the last few years. Yeah, all the retail arm and everything.
But remember, they got kicked out, mate, because they weren't doing the right thing.
Yeah, no, that's right. But isn't the retail arm the section that's causing us to pay more of the... No, basically, it's like petrol, more at the Bowser. We're paying more for electricity now because of the decisions of the Labor government.
It's the whole system. You can't just isolate one particular part of it. If you privatise any of it, you are going to make it dearer for consumers, and every single state has borne that out.
Okay, so you can't isolate one part of it, but now you're isolating poles and wires. Everything else was sold off by Labor.
It's the only thing we have left. It's the only thing this government can privatise, and I'd like to stop it.
Okay, so
I'll stand here, listen, stop the sell off.
Okay, nice shirt. That's the only thing. It's the only thing we have left. You're saying.
Yep.
So the government's not selling it. So do you agree a lease and a sale is a different thing? Yeah.
I agree, a lease and a sale is a different thing, but they're not talking about a lease. You don't just lease something with a one-off payment for a 99-year term. That is not a lease.
Okay, but how is it a one-off payment if they own 51% of the asset, they control the asset, and they get the income stream from it for the 99 years of that term?
No, they're selling off Transgrid. They're selling off Transgrid, the whole of Transgrid. Mostly in the cities, but some of it's in rural areas. That's what they're selling off. And it's 50.4%. They've admitted that as well. 50.4%
okay, where's that
of the network.
It's 49% everywhere else.
50.4. They've actually done their figures. This is the bad figures. It's 50.4%.
Okay, and can you refer to any of your document that actually says that, or is that just a Labor quote?
No, that came from Baird. That came from them. You can ask them.
Mate, I've asked and it says 49%.
Well, that's what they're saying, yeah. Okay. That's the document I've seen. So actually, they calculated.
If I said to you that they give off 49%, they retain 51%, that means they have control. The government, the people, keep control of that asset.
They're selling Transgrid though. They're keeping essential energy in the country, but they're selling Transgrid. So they won't have any control over Transgrid. So the guys that work out there at McKees Hill, at a local Transgrid substation, lose their jobs because they get privatised.
Okay, you keep saying selling, mate. It's leasing for 99 years.
Not for one-off payments.
And it's the poles and wires.
No, it's electricity network. It's not
okay, so now the Labor position has changed from poles and wires to the electricity network. How is that happening?
I don't know. It's always been electricity network as far as I've known.
Well, on your own campaign material it says poles and wires.
That says stop CSG, mate.
Yeah, on the other stuff in the newspaper. I don't have it on me, obviously, but I can get it back to you if you want me to.
Stop the privatisation of our electricity network.
The privatisation
of our electricity network, yeah.
Okay, but again, you said the Keneally government started that and you got rid of the Labor government for doing the
We got rid of privatising.
But you said you can't piecemeal it.
Can't piecemeal it.
And the only thing we have left is poles and wires?
The only thing we have left to our electricity network is that infrastructure, and I want to keep that in public hands. That's what I think. That's what I believe.
And you think that doing that's going to keep the electricity prices down?
I think it's the only thing that can keep workers employed and stop foreign companies buying our electricity network, and it's the only thing that can keep prices at reasonable levels.
So the prices now are at reasonable levels?
No, I think they're too much.
Okay. But, and again, why are they that high?
Because it's a mixture of profiteering and infrastructure.
From the sale of the assets by the Labor government?
Yeah. Shouldn't have sold them.
Shouldn't have sold them.
Absolutely.
Okay, just like CSG, shouldn't have given out the licences?
Well, that was 20 years ago. That wasn't just a couple of years ago. You're talking about Keneally.
Look, forget about that. What about roads, mate? That's the other campaign thing you're going on. You're a Lismore City Councillor, aren't you?
I am.
How good are the roads in Lismore?
They're shocking.
They're shocking. And whose fault's that?
Councils for the last 40 years. That's whose fault it is. You can't just blame any particular group.
Well, what have you done in the last 6 years that you've been a councillor?
We have made cuts to our budget every single year in my time since 2008, and we've redirected funds to roads. You'll find that in this year's budget to June 2015, we have spent more on roads infrastructure than any previous council in Lismore City history.
But isn't that because the roads are so crap?
Yeah, exactly. We're trying to catch up.
So
and
the
fix
cost
that.
is going up to try and keep up with it.
It is, yeah. That's why our pledge is so important, because we're trying to remove that backlog from Northern Rivers councils, because we have a unique experience where we have high rainfall and poor soils.
But didn't council cut $1 million off the roads budget late last year?
No.
I believe it did. I was at the meeting when they were talking about removing $1 million to move it across.
There's proposals for the future, but nothing's been ratified yet because we haven't done the budget till May. There's no budget decisions
but they're
made.
trying to take $1 million out of the roads budget.
There are different plans, yeah. Yep.
Okay. And who controls Lismore City Council at the moment?
Council laws.
Yeah. And
11 councillors get to
How
vote.
many of them are Labor councillors?
4.
4 out of 11.
Out of 11. That's why we need support of other people. We can't get stuff through by ourselves.
Okay. And who do you get to support you normally? We call them the six-pack. You know what I'm talking about?
Look, Neville King made the same claim. He's been the last 2 council meetings trying to find the six-pack. He hadn't found it because there hadn't been a single vote that went 6-5 along the lines that you're talking about or other people talking
So
about.
with Simon Clough and Vanessa Ekins from the Greens and Our Sustainable Future, or Simon Clough from Our Sustainable Future.
How you going? Nice to see you. There's my boy as well. I've known you for a long time.
There's another vote for the Greens.
The Bulldogs too. Good on you. They're doing actually quite well. People are knocking this year, but they're doing well. Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, I've been the Lions last night, and I've been round here selling tickets at Lucky Farmer Charlie's for arthritis all morning. I've just got to wake up there.
Well, it's air conditioning there,
It's a
mate.
real
So
worry.
Yep, yeah. Stand there relaxing the air conditioning and you have to worry about voting on the day. Being out of town. Alright, nice to see you.
Just trying to finish up on these roads.
All right,
mate.
yeah, far away, mate.
So you got Simon Clough is Our Sustainable Future,
Yep.
the Nimbin boy, and you got Vanessa Ekins from the Greens, and
Yep.
together is what we call the six-pack. Is that right?
Yeah, I know, but I don't understand how you can say that because, again, Neville King came to the last 2 meetings and he had to go at us about the six-pack and there wasn't a single vote that went along those lines.
Oh, well, look, I'll make sure I put a number of votes that went 6-5
Yeah.
up on the website, because you know there's a lot of them that do.
No, there's not a lot, actually.
Okay, well, I'll put that on the website with this video.
If you're going to put up all the votes that we have. So we
There's a lot of votes.
I
mate.
know, we make
I'm
15
just going
or
to put up about 5 in the last month or 2 that are 6-5.
No, put up all the others that didn't go 6-5.
There's millions of them.
Exactly, there's 20 votes every council meeting. You're going to put up one for
I'm
everybody
not going
saying,
to
oh,
waste
there's a
my
six-pack.
time. And you're not going to...
Oh, yeah, good to see you. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
It's a mixture.
I can't... Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. And so obviously you're not going to agree that 6-5 happens a lot.
It doesn't happen a lot.
Just if you're going to fix the roads, mate, how are you going to fix the roads if you guys had a $500,000 surplus estimate and you turned around to nearly a minus, or you nearly lost $5 million in 1 year to make it a minus $4.5 million budget? How does that work under the Labor Council?
That's false, that's not true.
Well, it was at the council meeting.
No, there's not been a $500,000 surplus.
No, it was an estimate in the budget. You guys thought you'd have a $500,000 surplus?
That's wrong, that's incorrect.
Really?
No, we budget for zero. We have a zero-based budget, so we use all of our funds to fund infrastructure. So we don't believe in making a surplus.
But I understand that. But the documentation showed that there was going to be a surplus or a positive position of $500,000. But it turned to be a minus position of 4-point-something million, 4.4, I believe. 4.9, I believe.
That's not correct.
So that's not correct.
No, that's to do with things like depreciation. That's not to do with council spending. Changes in accounting, unfortunately.
So the council's bottom line was minus 4.9 on actuals instead of plus about $500,000.
You're not factoring in grants and a whole bunch of other factors. You're just ignoring other information.
But grants are a positive effect, not a negative effect. How do you go minus $5 million?
Yeah, but you're factoring out grants. You're taking away grants. That's
No,
why
but-
we go to a balanced budget if you include grants.
So you're saying the council can only be in a positive position if they use money from federal or state governments in grants?
Absolutely, of course.
Okay,
Where have you
so-
been?
No, I know where I've
Residents
been.
can't fund everything. We rely on grants from state and federal government.
But this goes to mismanagement then. So didn't you account for those in that estimate?
Yeah, absolutely.
So then
They're
why are you saying
accounted
I'm taking out the grants
You're
if
looking
you
at-
guys already had them in there?
I'm saying you're looking at the wrong figure, mate. That's all.
All right. So you got nothing else to say about roads?
No, that's enough, mate.
All right. Good luck.